Hey YouTube, what's up? Prof Sales coming at you with your daily profit report. It's a catchy title, I think. I like that title. How is everybody doing? Let's do a quick sound check as soon as this thing hits the web. Make sure our sound is all right. Hopefully it is. And let's see. Hey YouTube. There it is. Sounds good. All right, guys, so we are up and running. It is October 13th, 2016, a Thursday afternoon here in sunny Charlotte, North Carolina. The sun really is out, and it's a nice day. It's almost 80 degrees, which is great. The cold weather's kind of hit us, but the cool weather at least, but hopefully it's coming back. I'm sure it will in a few days, but a nice little few days here in the mid-70s. Some people are starting to fill in the room. Yvonne's already here. DC is here. What's up, DC? And we are off and running. So how is everyone's day going? How's your week going? I know we haven't talked for a couple days, so we'll fill you in on everything we've been doing and what we found yesterday. Karin and I went out sourcing yesterday. So it was great. We went to a new area. We went to, sorry, I got like massive amounts of dust right here on the spot on my table for some reason. It's driving me crazy. We went to Spartanburg and Greenville, South Carolina, that area. We went to the Goodwills in that area for the most part. We spent the whole day. We left here probably about, we got here going kind of late. We wanted to leave here about 7:15 and it'd be more like 8:15. And we got home about 8:30. So it was a 12-hour day. It was, a lot of driving, a lot of sourcing. And we went after it. And it was interesting what we found. It was a new area. We hadn't been there. We mapped out a route the night before, just looking at where the stores were and tried to pick the most logical routes, what we thought was going to be the best. And we took notes on the stores as we went, kind of what we found. And definitely we'll be sharing some of that with you guys. So a few other people came in the room, it looks like. Marcos, what's up, Marcos? And Crafty is here as well, working as listening. That's a good thing, right? No reason you can't multitask. So yeah, I will, yesterday we went to source all day. Like I mentioned, we hit, oh gosh, I don't have the sheet here in front of me. We actually went to 11 stores yesterday, but one of them was a weigh and pay that was, we decided not to dig through it. We probably should have, actually. It was actually one of the nicer ones I've seen, but we wanted to make sure we hit all the retail stores. And, it was a pretty good day. I won't say it was we killed it day. We definitely hit our goals. Let me make sure I got my sheet total right here. We hit basically 10 stores, and we bought 132 pair of jeans. We also picked up 4 items that were what I like to call hard goods. That's just anything that's not clothing. I picked up some CDs and a filter that I can probably flip on Amazon with no issue. A few extra bucks. But if you saw the title of the video, the reason I gave it the title I did is at my current net per jean, those 132 pair of jeans should net $1,265. Now there's still work to be done. Let's be real for a moment, guys. I'm not ever gonna like sugarcoat anything on this channel and tell you, oh, it's so easy. There's still work to be done. We have to inspect each of those jeans. We inspect them as we buy them. All 132 pair we inspected. We have to photograph them, and then we have to list them. So there's still work to be done. But that's an expected net profit of, over $1,200. Is that a good rate? I don't know. I mean, I think it's decent. I wouldn't say it's absolutely killing it. But it's jeans we're dealing with here. We're dealing with commodity. We're not dealing with a high dollar item that's gonna, we're gonna buy for 10 and flip for 100. It's not that kind of item. So we still have some work to do. As I mentioned, we went to 10 stores. Let me see if I have the sheet here. Somewhere. I don't know if I still have it. Oh, I know where I have it. Sorry. I was going to pull out my notes and tell you guys how we did at each store. And this is what we found for jeans. So if you're outsourcing jeans, this is to kind of give you an idea. Now, these were brand new stores we went to for the very first time. We had never gone to these stores. We never sourced these stores. We had no idea where they were. We knew where they were on the map, but we didn't know exactly what kind of area they were pulling from. I will say on a overall that these stores did not have the quantity of jeans that we see in the stores here in Charlotte. Definitely not. So right off the bat, we were dealing with smaller inventory. You know, if you walk in the average store and it's got 400 pair of jeans, and then you walk in another store and it's got 200 pair of jeans, you know, all things being equal, you're going to find only half as many jeans you can sell in the one with 200. Now, there's some exceptions because of maybe where it gets dropped off or the area and blah, blah, blah. But overall, if a store has less jeans than another store, you're going to find less jeans to sell. Just like you're going to find less shirts if you're selling shirts or less shoes if you're selling, right? I mean, that just mathematically makes sense. So these stores had, I would estimate, they probably had about 2/3, maybe. Half's a little low. About 2/3 as much inventory as our stores do here in Charlotte. So we were a little behind the 8 ball on that. But these were the totals we found. So the first store we went to, we found the trip did not start off with a bang. It started off with a fizzle. The very first store we went to, literally we only found 3 pair of jeans. And it did not have, Karin's not here right now. I bet that store didn't have more than 150 pair of jeans. The prices were okay. The prices were $575. Although there were a lot of sale jeans you could find. Some you could find for half of that. Some you could find for $425. Some were $237. It just depended on where you found them and if they'd been marked down. There was no sales tax, which was nice. South Carolina does not have a sales tax. So the first store we went to, we only found 3. The second store we went to, we found 13. The third store we found 13. The fourth store we found 12. The fifth store we found 24. Now we're moving in the right direction, right? The sixth store we found 7. The eighth store, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the seventh store we found 21. The eighth store we found 13. Then the ninth store we found 17, and the 10th store we found 9. So that was a total of 132. And as I mentioned, we found 4 other items. Let's see. That basically works out to 13 jeans a store. That's lower than what we find here in Charlotte. And here in Charlotte, it's more like 18. So we definitely noticed that there's just less jeans to find there. There was just less in the stores. I mean, these stores were smaller. They did not have a lot of square footage. There was a few of them that were bigger, and those were the ones we did better in, not surprisingly. But the smaller stores, they were not profitable, really. And we made some notes. Like the store we found 3 in, the funny thing is that store was the first store on the way. We will not go back to it. I mean, there was just so little there. It was not a big store. It did not have a big selection. It did not have a big hard goods selection. I mean, I felt like going to that store, it wasn't far off the interstate, but I felt like going to that store was just a waste of time. So we will not be going back to the store where we only found 3 jeans in. We could go next time and find more, but it's not like we're going to go and find 20 there. I mean, 20 would be 20% of the jeans in the store. I mean, there was just not a lot of jeans there. So we will not be going back to that one. The one that we found 7, probably not going to go back to that one either. So between those 2 stores, and here's the thing, gang. Between those 2 stores, we spent probably an hour in those 2 stores total, times 2 because 2 people. So we wasted, we didn't waste, but we spent 4 man hours to only pull out 10 pair of jeans. So next time we go to that area, we're going to know, don't go to those stores. And that's another hour we can have elsewhere. There's a couple stores we couldn't get to just because it was getting so late in the day and we still had a long drive back, a 2-hour drive. We drove 260 miles, not super long, but not super short either. So, you know, we kind of been keeping better records on that stuff. We kind of been keeping track of how long we're in the stores a bit too. And, you know, we're in a store 20 to 30 minutes on average. That's pretty darn close. Somewhere in that range, probably pushing the high end, probably more like 27, 28, if I had to guess. And, you know, so it was a good day. I think we'll net over $1,000 on these jeans. Found some interesting ones, nothing too crazy. Just, I did find a brand. I don't know if, I saw Mark is in here, and I know some of the other guys sell jeans too. I don't know if Mike is here, Pittsburgh Mike, but I found a brand, and Mark, you'll appreciate this one too. If you've seen this one before, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but here's a nice little niche brand. Here's a bolo for you guys. You know, I'm not big on bolos, but this brand, let me make sure I get in front of the camera. Okay, so this brand is called G-Star, G-S-T-A-R, and it's actually a raw brand, which raw denim means that basically it doesn't get pre-washed, and technically you don't even have to wash this, which people probably have, hard to say, but looking at the shape of this one. G-Star, this particular one is the Elwood 5620. G-Star is a higher brand. It's a niche brand. You're not going to find tremendous amounts of these. I think this is the only one I've ever found. I've heard of it before, and I saw it immediately. It's a pretty cool looking pair of jeans. You can see like the legs have kind of a cool in the knees and so on. Trying to hold so you can see them. This particular one is not one of the higher end ones. This one is the, I found it here a minute ago. It's a button fly. It is a length 36, which is good. That's pretty cool. The Elwood Heritage Narrow. Sold for these are not crazy prices, but here's the thing, guys. G-Star can go for big money. Like there's some sold used ones on eBay for over $100. Now it depends on what you find, obviously, but I don't even know what they go for new. Probably a good bit higher than that. But it's a cool brand. So if you guys run into a G-Star, cool brand to find. I was pretty happy to find one, but I think I'm probably going to price that one. I'm probably going to go a little high with it. I'll probably price it around like 35 or something like that. See if I can get it. You know, so nice flip. But that's probably the only one I've ever found. They're not common, at least in my stores in my area. Mark, I see he says he sold one pair. Did you get good money for it, Mark, or was it sort of the more generic ones like I found that just weren't worth quite as much? That particular one is not one of the higher end ones, but definitely look out for them. You're definitely going to make some money on them, especially if you can get them cheap. Like, I think, no, that one wasn't on sale. It was probably $5.75, that one. So G-Star, there's a brand for you. Thanks, guys, for watching. We got 19 people. That's awesome. If you wouldn't mind smashing that like button, I would appreciate it. It really lets me know I'm doing a good job if you hit the like button, and lets YouTube know as well. Pinching Peso says, oh my God, what are you guys doing here? We just all showed up here. It was weird. Like we've never even, you know. Yvonne says she's never seen that brand. Yeah. Not common. Not common. when I looked yesterday for G-Star, I think, let's see, it wasn't a tremendous amount of jeans for that were on eBay. Like G-Star jeans right now, if you search eBay and you search used ones, there's 1,500. But, you know, in jeans, that's not really very much in the pre-owned ones. The new ones are, let's see, condition. Search is kind of so weird sometimes. I can't get the new one to pop up for some reason. I don't know why it's not popping up with the new. New would be much more. Here's new with tags. Here we go. Yeah, new with tags, if you sort by highest price plus shipping, which is what a lot of us do, $400. 414, 349, 330. So maybe 400 is a little high, like $300 plus new. So they're expensive jeans. Yeah, so and it looks like Mark sold his for $36. That's good. That's a good. You're happy with that, Mark? I would think. $36 for a pair of jeans. I don't know how much you paid for them, but I don't know any of these peeps. It's so funny. Streetwear brand. Twisted Picker says, there you go. And there's a keyword right there, Amsterdam company. Yeah, those European brands are always worth exploring, just in general. Prof, who said they have someone to list for 75 cents per listing? You could send me an email, Mark. I can't remember who it was. Somebody sent me an email about that, and I don't remember who it was. Maybe I can dig through my email records and find it. They had a VA, maybe in the Philippines or something. So anyway, vintage G-Star is called Gap Star. Oh, cool. Did not know that. Let's all send Prof bad messages. I don't even know what that means, Crafty, but I like the sound of it. Please continue. What sell-through rate completed the solds on G-Star? That's a great question. I see 2,800 items new with, well, let's go to used, because chances are you're going to find a used. You're not going to find it new very often. That would be nice to find, but not really going to happen that often. All right, so pre-owned, there's 1,500 listings, Mark, of G-Star. And if we go to sold, we see $1,197. That's a good sell-through. So 1,200 out of 1,500. That's a good sell-through. Really good. Pharrell Williams is now a co-owner of G-Star. Oh, nice. So yeah, good brand for you. All right, what else? So today we will be all about just getting our items listed. Karin has already sent me, a couple batches. And, I'm just going to be plowing through them, just trying to get more listings up. I'll definitely share results here in a minute, show you guys where we're at. What else was I going to tell you? I had something else I was going to tell you. I can't. Don't you hate that when you've got it in your brain and then you forget it because you move on to something else and you go back and it's just not there anymore? So anyway, yeah, I always choose completed and sold, Mark. Just so you know, I always put them together. I mean, that's a great sell-through, but that's not that uncommon for great brands. Like Miss Me for me is always 100% within. I doubt I hang on to a Miss Me more than 2 months. Doesn't matter what it is. Swamp says, is there any brand you're looking for that you've never sold? That's a great question, Swamp. I'm trying to think if there's one I haven't sold. There's one that I don't find very often. I've only found one, which is Jinko. And there was a Jinko that sold on eBay several months ago for $75,000, which is either crazy or money laundering or I don't know. I don't know. Actually, Big E, Levi's, never found one. And I look, I look at every Levi's that I come across that looks like it could remotely be that old, but never find them. Yvonne says G-Star has a whole line of urban streetwear we can look for. There you go. So cool brand, guys. You're not going to find a lot of them, though. I can promise you that. But anyway, Brian says, did you go to the Greenville GW outlet? Funny thing, Brian, I did, but I did not stay. We did not realize when we looked at the list that that was an outlet only. And just, our experiences with outlets have been crappy. We were actually trying to make sure we found all the stores we could find, like the normal retail stores, so we left. We actually asked directions to the next store to make sure we were right, and we weren't far from it. It was like the Woodruff store, I think. We were only maybe 10 minutes away. So I did go, but did not look through. Probably should have. That was probably a mistake in our part, but it's what we did. I also want to say I looked through shirts yesterday, guys. I know we had a great t-shirt discussion a few days ago, and I found nothing. I don't know what I'm looking for. I realized once I got in there, I'm looking through all these freaking t-shirts, and I'm going, I have no idea if any of these are great. Like, nothing looked vintagey. I did read up on a website called Defunct about vintage concert shirts and music shirts, and I kind of realized that all the ones I looked at, none of them could have been vintage. There was like 6 or 7 producers of them, like manufacturers, and I didn't see any of those names, although I don't remember all of them by heart yet. So I did not buy any shirts. I wanted to. I looked through I didn't look through shirts at every store, but I looked through shirts at maybe 3 or 4 stores yesterday while Karin was finishing up the jeans. Did not find any. So I'm a noob. I'm not even a noob. I'm not even as good as a noob. I need to get much better at that part. So that's something we need to work on. Lori asked, would you share with us how you decide to price jeans? Do you have a set price by brand, style, or condition? That's a great question, Lori. I like to make $10 net on it, and I know that if I price around $18 plus $6.50 shipping, I'm going to make just over $10 net. So unless it's like a really generic brand with nothing special about it, I'm going to price it around $18. And even then, if it's more generic-y, I'm almost never going to go below 17 to start. And I usually drop prices every 50 cents every 30 days. I'll go in and batch the ones that have ended, that day, and just drop them all 50 cents. That's how I do it. And if they're a better brand, like if it was G-Star, I'm obviously going to start them out higher. I might take a little time to research that one and say, all right, because it's not a brand I'm very familiar with, and say, all right, what are the solds going for? Like, I just see the one I just had one sold for $24.99. It's looks like it's the same length even, although that was an auction. So, I'm going to price it somewhere in that range. But I like to go to the high end, Lori, because you can always come down. But you don't know what profit you miss. I don't want to price it too high. I'm not going to price it $50 if none of them sold for more than 30, but that doesn't make sense. But you never know what you can get sometimes, and if you price a little higher, yeah, you might sit on a little bit longer, but you're going to get a little more profit than you would. If you start low, if it sells instantly, I would argue you priced it too low in a lot of cases. Not every case, but in a lot of cases. And maybe that's your business model, but it's not my business model. Brian liked the Goodwill outlet. I was on next time we go, Brian, I'm going to get down there and check that one out. So for sure. Side note, I need 2 other clothing sellers to go on the R show with me next week. I don't want to go alone. Topic is clothing sellers. I have been on the R show, Yvonne, and maybe I could do that again. Not sure. I'm guessing that's Sunday night, or is it the week show? I can't remember if I know he does Sunday night, but Mark says he's at the point he doesn't have to research anymore if it's a brand that I'm not, unless it's, I don't have to research anymore, only if it's a brand I'm not familiar with. Yeah, that's the great thing about jeans. And there's a lot of brands, but there's a lot of brands you can just sort of discount and you don't have to even pick up because you know they're not really going to sell they're not fitting in with your business model. So you don't have to look them up because you've already looked them up 8 times and realized, nope, they still aren't selling for anything. So, you're buying for 5 and selling for 9. It doesn't make any sense. Crafty finds vintage at estate or yard sales. You're talking about t-shirts, Crafty, I would assume. I got to go. I got to check them out. I need to find someone who's an estate sale who is selling musical equipment or instruments. That might be somebody who has vintage t-shirts too, right? There you go. Wednesday of next week, Yvonne, what time is it at? Because my show is coming on at 9 o'clock. We have Rockstar Flipper coming on, which hopefully you guys can see. Let me know if you can see that, guys, when you first log on to my page, my channel. Do you see that show is coming up next Wednesday at 9 o'clock with Rockstar Flipper? I'm excited about that interview because I've just recently been exposed to him and his approach, and there's definitely a lot of topics we can cover, and I'm kind of interested in. And he's not just a clothing reseller, guys, so it won't just be a clothing. It'll be other things. So really interested to talk to him. Found some BMW factory worker shirts there. Yeah, Brian makes a great point. There's a big, huge BMW factory you pass on 85 as you're going to Greenville. And they built it several years ago. So that makes sense. BMW is a very iconic brand name. All right. Look for men's clothes. Advertise. You may find tees. Yep, that's a good point, Crafty. And Pinching says, I'm changing my name to the Country Star Flipper. About the jazz player Flipper. Flipper the Dolphin. I don't know. Okay, so let me show you guys results. The show today is going to be probably about 10 minutes shorter than normal, guys, because I have to go pick up Ben from school. So I cannot go right to 3 o'clock. So we will definitely be a little bit shorter today, just to give you an FYI. But let's go in and I will share results from the last couple days. Boom. All right, so 2 days ago was Tuesday, or Monday rather. No, Tuesday. And we sold 9. We got 35 photos up. We got 30 listed. A gross of $214.50. And yesterday we, of course, bought 132. We spent $705. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. That's how much it costs to buy those jeans. Actually, that was the cost for everything, I think. No, I took the jeans out. Nope, that was just the jeans. And 10 stores. And we sold 8 yesterday for a $195 gross. So sales just a tiny bit lower the last couple days, but still pretty decent. Good net per jean yesterday at $9.93, so almost $10. $9.46 the day before, a little lower. So where does that put me on the month? Well, it puts me averaging 802 listings, which is up 100 on average from last month, and that number is going to keep climbing because I'm above that right now. Bought 290. So I've bought almost as many as I bought all last month. Spent $15.51. Photos 184, listed 180. Karen's got some more photos she just dropped to me today, so that number's already gone up on her end. Stores, we visited 18 of them. We've sold 123 so far this month. So if you project that out, that's close to, I mean, that's 300 jeans easily, maybe even a little more. Which would be about 10 a day almost. A gross so far of $29.69, which is pretty good. I'm really happy with that gross number already. And the net is already at basically $1,200, and we're only 12 days through the month. So the net is looking to be maybe pushing $3,000 this month. I mean, now we're starting to get up to like, real money. I don't know what everybody considers real money. I think anything you can make $3,000 a month at, and yeah, I've got taxes and so on, but I've got a lot of write-offs too. Anything you can make $3,000 a month at, I think you start getting into that, okay, decent money. Not that you're rich, not by any stretch of the imagination. And I know if you live in an expensive part of the country, $3 grand a month is nothing. I get that. But for a lot of people, that's decent enough money to devote some serious time and energy to it. You know, you start getting in that realm. For other people, it's 4,000. For some people, it's 2,000. I don't know. Some people might even be 5,000. Not that I'm suggesting you're going to make more with this than you are, you know, being a pharmacist, but you're not going to have to go to school for 8 years either. So anyway, just want to throw that out there. Sell to list is 68. I got to get more listed. That's got to drop back down below 60. And then the quick graphs, you can see listings is continuing to climb. Sell-through is still climbing. I'm very happy about this. We're up around, there's 1.35. So this is about 1.25, which is really good. Cannot complain about that. A couple lower the last couple days, but that's because I had a bunch of listings go up. Sold to listed, that sold curve is nice. I mean, a couple lower days the last couple days, but you know, it's been a lot of double digits as of late. Lots of listings in the last couple weeks. A lot of big numbers here, 20 plus. And gross per day. The gross per day right now is close to $250 gross per day. So I anticipate that's just going to keep climbing too. That's going to get up to 500. That's going to get up to 600. It's going to just grow and grow until, you know, as these listings go higher and higher. All right. All right. So let me go back and quit sharing because I'm through sharing with you people. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see what everybody is typing. Rip off. I want my money back. All right. Well, I will PayPal it to you. But first, I need you to send me $50 for a processing fee, pinching pesos. Sorry. And then I will send you your money back. I was just typing, I want my money back. Again, if you guys want to PayPal me $50 for a processing fee, then I will ship your money back to you that I owe you. If you're doing relist today, check your returns. They are adding a 20% restocking fee to all my listings. Ugh, eBay, what are you doing? That's interesting. Have not heard that. I did some relist earlier today. Did that pop up and show you that? Because I don't remember seeing anything about that. But to be honest with you, I just relist and don't really read the screen anymore. I just do it and submit it. So, wow. Wow. Why would they do that? Peso says I spend $3,000 on my hair and nails every month. Yeah. So, you know, if you sell a couple hundred jeans a month, you can do your hair and nails. It's one way to look at it. Yeah, I was just doing relist and every single one of them has 20% restocking fee added in my returns section. Returns? Really? I just processed 2 returns today. I'm going to have to check that. Everybody check your eBay today and see if you're getting hit with a 20% restocking fee. Oh, I know why I didn't. I know why I didn't, Deb. Because I don't. This is going to sound weird. You guys are probably going to think this is weird. I don't relist my returns right away necessarily. I don't know why I don't do that. I got 2 returns yesterday in the mail. I wasn't here till late last night, so I didn't process them till this morning. And I went in and I processed and refunded the people. And then one of the pair of jeans smelled kind of, not like smoke, but it had kind of a funky smell. So we're debating on whether we're going to relist that one for breezing it. I don't know. Maybe I hate to wash it. I hate to wash jeans. It's just so annoying. But we might. But we haven't relisted them. We usually take another photo. That's not really the most efficient way. And, you know, I hadn't thought of it till this moment. I'm going to have to think about that. Like, does that make sense? Or just going to relist? I don't know. Because there was nothing wrong with your pictures and description. It sold once, right? So theoretically, you should be able to just go in and list it again, just as it is. Sorry, I'm looking to realize I'm going to have to order more shipping labels soon. Squirrel, who got distracted? Pacer says, no, these were general relist of expired listings. All 9 of them had a 20% restocking fee as a settings in the return section. Ugh. Interesting. So basically PayPal or eBay was charging you a 20% fee to that doesn't make sense. Yeah, they do all kinds of wacky things. You got to watch your fees and money with them because they will nail you. Yeah, what else was I going to say? So our goal for the rest of this week, guys, just so you know, is Karin goes out of town not this Sunday, but next Sunday. So we've got to get all these pictured. It's, 100 and probably about 140. We're planning another sourcing trip for Monday. We wanted to do more of a video yesterday, but I don't know. I don't know. So we'll see. Crafty says the customer will pay 20% to send back. What? What in the world? So it's like it defaulted to a fee, even though you didn't have it set to a fee. Huh. Interesting. Karin is actually, she is with a friend, Yvonne. A friend of hers mother just passed away. Actually, I think yesterday. And she is actually helping this friend clean out. Her mother, I guess, was in hospice. So she's helping her kind of gather up her mom's things and just, giving her some moral support. Anyway, what's up, Ronnie Hart Pickas? What's up, buddy? I asked Ronnie a question yesterday, guys, and here's the question of the day for you, and we'll see what you guys say. So let's say you can only source at Goodwills or Savers or, whatever chain thrift store you have near you. Whatever. You can only source those stores, and you can only buy clothing, not hard goods or things like that. What three categories of items would you pick, taking into account how much you're going to pay for them, how much you're going to make on them, and how long it's going to take to sell? So you can only pick three categories. If you had to go into every thrift store you went in, I'm only going to source these three. Which three would you pick and why? And I think it's an interesting question, guys, because it speaks to your mindset. It speaks to your mindset as a reseller. It kind of tells you who you are as a reseller, right? Because if you're into the long tail items, you might pick this category. Or if you want quick flips, you might pick this category. Or if you're okay with spending more money, you'll pick this one. Or if you're okay with spending less, if you want to spend less money, you might pick that one. What three categories would you pick, if you could only pick three, to source in a thrift store, given how much it's going to cost, how much you're going to make, and how long it's going to take you to make it? And it probably says something about you as a reseller. And you got to ask yourself this question too. Are you sourcing those three? Because Karin and I, this was how the discussion came up. And Ronnie, I don't know if you're still listening, but this is really why it came up. I said, would it be possible to go in to Goodwills, because we have Goodwills here, and source the entire store, okay? Every category. And here's why I asked this, guys. Not can you do it, is it feasible? And here's why I'm saying that. Can you as a reseller gather up enough knowledge to know, and I see some of you guys are posting in here some of the categories. Can you as a reseller gather up enough knowledge to quickly, I mean, not even quickly, you might even be in each store 3 hours. You might be in there a while. Can you adequately source and have enough knowledge about men's belts, shoes, jeans, socks, dresses, ties, bridal, maternity, other types of tops and bottoms, hoodies, jackets, vest, fabric, our store self. And I'm kind of leaving out the hard goods. I'm leaving out the books and the CDs and the video games and the furniture and the electronics and the consumer goods. I'm leaving those out even. So that's like, I don't know how big a part of your stores that is. That's probably like 20% of my stores. The other 80% is probably clothing. Could you do that? And how long would it take? And how many stores? And how much could you get out of it? If you spent, like Yvonne says, that's a 3-hour trip if you're doing all. And I agree with you, Yvonne. I think it would take you 3 hours. I think it'd take you a long time. But more than that, could you know enough? Because I'm sitting here thinking about, like Mark and I were talking about earlier, we don't have to look up too many jeans these days. because we know which ones not to buy and which ones to buy. It's only when we run across a brand that's a little unusual. But man, that take a long time to get to that point and a lot of knowledge. If you had to do that in all those categories, you know, could you do it? Could one person have that kind of knowledge about all those categories? And I chose 3, but really it's more like a dozen categories when you think about all the soft goods in a thrift store, when you think about the clothing, the belts and accessories and dresses and things like that. And Ronnie, who says he's in a store no longer an hour, Ronnie picked men's clothing, and he picked shirts, suit coats and blazers, and I think like jackets and coats, if I'm not mistaken, Ronnie. I think that's what he said. So, and if you watch Ronnie's channel, you know those are things he focuses on. And there's great profit in those, no question about it. And they're plentiful, they're around, and they're not too crazy expensive. But you do kind of know quite a bit of knowledge. I mean, you're going to have to learn, because, you know, it comes down to this idea, you know, and Chad's talked about this. You don't want to walk by money. You don't want to pass it by. But I would argue when you're in a thrift store, you are continually passing by money unless you're sourcing all those categories. And I don't think anybody is sourcing all those categories. I just don't think it's feasible. So maybe there's a sweet spot in terms of ROI, in terms of availability, in terms of cost, you know, how much capital you got to put out, in terms of the turnover or the sell-through rate. You know, I don't know. Here's some comments in the feed. King Flip says, I buy about 2 items and I go every day for 30 minutes. Got me to 1,400 items. Yeah, I mean, that's a legit plan. But 2 items is like, how do you get to 1,400 items only buying 2? I mean, that's 700. Oh, you mean 2 categories, maybe. Okay, I was going to say that's 700 trips. So now it makes more sense. Brian says jerseys, hats, and sports equipment. Nice. That makes a lot of sense. Now, can you find enough there to meet your goals, Brian? And maybe you do. You know, but jerseys, hats, and sports equipment, I mean, definitely some good money in those. But again, you definitely got to have some knowledge about those, right? I mean, you're not going to just walk in and pick up any old jersey and it's going to be worth a good chunk of money. You got to do some research. And what I'm saying here too, guys, you can't just go in the store and research every single item you look at and every single brand. I mean, that takes way too long. Like, you've got to learn that offline to some degree. You know, you can't be doing that in the store. It wouldn't be 3 hours. You'd be in there for days with as many brands as there are. If you knew nothing, I'm saying you started from scratch, because I felt like I'm starting from scratch with shirts. You know, that's why I was telling you guys earlier. I'm like, I don't know anything about shirts, t-shirts. Higher ROI items. Jackets are too heavy for me. This is my last winter with them. Crafty says, I go thrifting 2 to 3 times a week and spend an hour in each store, 7 stores. Okay. So yes, you're spending a good chunk of time in the stores. 7 stores, you know, an hour each store at 7 hours times twice a week is 14 hours, 3 times is 21 hours. You're spending a good chunk of time sourcing, which makes sense. My 2 cents says, we're looking for different things. I can go through a bin that's been picked through and find something worth $100 because they all weren't looking for that item. So you've got a good eye. My 2 cents, it sounds like, just naturally that you've honed, you know, I'm sure with experience and so on. Yeah. And I don't know, guys, I just think it's an interesting set of questions because, you know, we kind of get in this mode of reseller so-and-so is doing this, so I'm going to go do that. You can do that, but it kind of needs to fit in with who you are too and what your capacity is as a reseller. Like how, you know, I would find women's dresses, I won't say intimidating, but confusing and perplexing, you know, because I know nothing about them. And I'm sure I could learn, but oh my gosh, you know, I mean, a dress is kind of like, that's something that's really got to fit. You can't fudge that. Like, you know, you could add a little extra padding inside a shoe and maybe make it fit. But you can't do that with a dress, you know. So I would have a big learning curve, a long learning curve with a dress. But you know, other people might go in there and kill it with dresses and be like, oh, it's this brand and it's this cut and it's this fit. Like I know there's all kinds of different ways the collar sits, and oh man, I would literally be starting from below scratch if I started with that. King Flip says, haven't researched in years. I just buy everything, get rid of what doesn't work. This ROI is huge. How can you lose? Yvonne says, I don't have enough time or energy to hit all the thrifts in my town. Then there's Denver up the road. Yeah. I sit for a moment and try to intuit what the store is calling me. That's great. Yvonne's like channeling her spirit animal, her reseller spirit animal. Crafty has multiple stores. Yvonne says, well, thank goodness, Prof. Yeah, dresses are not. I can pretty much guarantee you I'm not going to come on one day and go, hey, guys, guess what? I'm selling dresses now. That's just not really going to happen. So, sorry, Karen was texting me. Why do people think women's clothing is so difficult? Women are by far my easiest customers. They buy stuff that doesn't fit intentionally because they like it. That's true, King. It's not that. It's just I don't know all the details about a category like dresses. I don't think women are any more difficult than men when it comes to that. They just have a different. They kind of hold themselves to a different standard sometimes, you know. And I don't know. I mean, whereas men don't seem to be quite as picky about certain things, women are less picky about other things, but. I don't know. I don't find them any more difficult overall. And I sell to a lot of women, obviously, with what I sell. I could hit every thrift in the Austin area and it would take me a month. Yeah. I keep thinking I'm going to move to Austin, but there's too many of you guys down there now. It's like, I don't want to come mess with you guys. Karin says, stop talking about dresses, dude. Yeah, pretty much, right? I should probably stop talking about dresses because I'm just going to make a fool of myself more than I've already done. But think about that question, guys, going out as you go about your day and you go about your week. You know, what are your niches and why? And could you expand into something else that you have immediate access to and maybe do really well with it? You know, I've been thinking about that. And you know, just kind of keep in the back of your mind. And right now might not be the time, but maybe a month or two from now, maybe. Or you may see your area, something, a sourcing, you know, dry up. But Peso says you're welcome to visit, but you can't stay. Yeah. Too many resellers in Austin. Town's dead. No money there. Not true, I'm sure. All right, guys, listen, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much. Up to 30 people watching. That is awesome. What an awesome show you guys do. And you have such great questions and feedback. I mean, you guys just kill it every single day. I'm so thankful for all of you. I hope the rest of your week is awesome. I'm going to be back on tomorrow, which is Friday. We'll do another update. And we'll talk about some strategies for maybe the weekend and so on. And you know what? Maybe some other topics too, of course. But that's going to do it for now. So if you're watching this, leave me a comment down below if you're watching this later. And please hit the like button. Smash the like button, a.k.a. Steve Reagan style. And consider subscribing to Prof Sales so that way you get every video when it comes out. But in any case, I can't wait to be back on tomorrow with you guys. And you really make my day a lot of times. And it's just awesome to be part of this community. And you guys are... It means more than you know. I talk about you on a daily basis outside of this show. All good things, too, by the way. So, all right, guys. Well, take care. Have a great sales day. Have a great day just all around. And I will see you real soon. And as always, it's Prof Sales saying good sales to you.